So, Mike McKee, where's the inflation?
That's a good question. Well, we saw in the GDP numbers that people were spending a lot more money, and we thought that that was because of the tax cut and that you would have greater personal income, after-tax income. And I'm looking here at the employee costs, and they're just not rising. 5-10. Well, I mean, they are rising, but not as much as they had been. 0.5% in the last quarter, not the 0.9%, almost 1% that we had in the first quarter. So people's after-tax incomes maybe didn't go up quite as much as they were expected to.
So, Dana Peterson, is this just simply good news? Because you take these numbers and put them together with 4.1% growth in the GDP. That sounds pretty good. You got growth without inflation? That doesn't sound so bad.
Well, certainly for the consumer, it's not so bad because most people don't like to see rising prices. But I think with respect to income, we did see very large upward revisions to after-tax income in the GDP report. So, for example, real disposable income, personal income, was revised up significantly over the last several years. And the savings rate, which was pretty close to 3%, had been falling over many years, is now showing that it's been pretty steady around 6%. And indeed, in the last reading, it was very close to 7%. So even though we have a number of measures of wages and inflation, the story is still pretty good when it comes to income for consumers.
But when you take a look at the employment cost index, we pointed out just up by 0.6%, Mike. I mean, it's great that you're making the money, but if you're not actually able to see wage increases, then how does that help the economy?
Well, that's the question for the long run. When do we see businesses have to pay people more? It does seem that we are seeing companies continue their efforts to hold down costs as much as possible to help the bottom line, which may be exacerbated now because we saw all these companies that were warning that they might see their profits hit by the tariffs. And so in that case, that just puts more incentive on them to keep costs lower.